What's going on, guys? TMD13 back again, and this is the proper return of me discussing Formula 1 to an extent. So this will be my sort of, in quotation marks, return. So today I'll just talk about my thoughts and feelings about pre-season testing, my predictions for the season, and in general my view on current happenings within Formula 1. So obviously, I don't know what way I'm doing it, but there will be a video either already up or coming up or being put up after this one, talking about the death of Murray Walker, which obviously is very sad for Formula 1. But this one will be sort of slightly happier, slightly more jovial. One point I will tackle head on before I start is the inclusion of Nikita Mazapin within Formula 1. Now, obviously, he has been accused, allegedly, of groping a woman and it not being consensual. He has come out and apologised since, and Haas have said they will be dealing with it internally. This is months ago now, but they have since. Mazapin has now taken, I believe he's taken down his apologies. And feel free, if I'm wrong in the comments, feel free to correct me, because obviously I haven't really researched what's happened per se, but there was a trend on Twitter for ages, hashtag we say no to Mazapin, and another much more, a YouTuber who's much bigger within the scene, FNG, has actually been blocked by the Haas team for sort of saying to him, sort of, not slagging off the admin of Haas, but sort of having a go at Mazapin, saying, like, stuff like, oh yeah, but he's still an arsehole or whatever. I'm paraphrasing, it wasn't stuff like that exactly, but. And in another twist, Haas have actually painted their car, and Mazapin will be racing under. So due to Russian doping, they've been banned from, like, athletes have been banned from sport. So if they play, so say for an example, in the Olympics, that Russian athletes will not have the Russian flag represented. So Mazapin has been caught up in the same thing, which means that he's having to race under, I believe it's a European flag or no nation, I can't remember. But Haas have painted their car to resemble, or in many people's eyes, the Russian flag. Excuse me. Which has enraged a fair few people. On top of that, there's also rumours that Rich Energy are coming back, and supposedly they're going to buy shares in a team, and they'll be on the grid next year, which, I mean, we all hope isn't true, because if anyone who's watched Drive to Survive will know that the bloke who runs Rich Energy is a complete nut job. Like, he's just not someone who's good to have in Formula 1, and he's come out on Twitter and said, yes, we'll be back on the grid, we'll own a team, they're starting off as title sponsors, and then they will buy more shares and become a thing of a team. Now, a lot of people, obviously, Frank Williams and Claire Williams have both recently left the Williams GP team, and it's now been taken over, but they have promised to keep it as Williams, which is fantastic news. But obviously, when rumours started to circulate about Rich Energy coming back, then you had the case of many, many fans going, shit, this could be Williams going. And it's supposedly it's a team towards the back of the grid. So, which is worrying. You're just sort of thinking, well, hang on a minute, like, that only leaves Haas, and surely they wouldn't go back. But obviously nothing else has come out, so we're all on tenterhooks to see what's happening. Oh, Jesus Christ. Excuse me. If it isn't Haas, then there's rumours it could be Sauber. I mean, there are still rumours it could be Williams, and I hope to God it isn't Williams, because obviously they're the classic team, you know. And obviously another team has, in quotation marks, left Formula 1. Force India, or Racing Point as they became, are no more. They are now Aston Martin Racing, and Sebastian Vettel is driving alongside Lance Stroll. Now, for me, I hope Vettel does well. Now, I've been very vocal in my views about Vettel when he was at Red Bull and him being an immature twat. And I think he went to Ferrari and matured a hell of a lot, but Ferrari are not what they used to be. You know, the fact that Red Bull have sort of gone far further than them. And Vettel just got bullied by Leclerc. Like, Leclerc just absolutely battered him. So I think, looking at it, Vettel's made the right move for him. Like, to go to Aston Martin where there isn't as much pressure on him. Like, he says he wants to get wins, and with that Force India breed, the descendants of the Jordan F1 team, it could be absolutely fantastic. Like, and I mean, last season with some crazy results. Not, Gasly winning. Russell coming so close to a race win when driving for Mercedes. Perez winning when Russell was screwed out of the win, effectively. But, Gasly, for me, Gasly's at AlphaTauri and will be leaving AlphaTauri at the end of the season. Just because he's got to have had enough of the Red Bull driver program now, because he got sent to Red Bull, and it is very, very clear that car is geared towards Max, which understandable. Like, you have drivers, and of course Max is a generational talent. I mean, conceivably, if he gets into a world championship winning car, we could be looking at someone who does equal Lewis Hamilton's record. But moving on to, or talking about Schumacher, Mick Schumacher is also driving for Haas. So many people believe that instead of Mazapin, it should be Callum Ilott who should be racing, which I personally agree with. I hope Mazepin only stays for a year, and I hope he finishes last in every race, frankly, because I can't stand a bloke. I think he's an idiot. If you look at his penalty points in the lower formulas, he's reckless. He's not a driver who deserves to get into Formula One, in my honest opinion. Obviously, all opinions on this thing are my own. So, I mean, if he somehow watches this, first off, fuck you. But second off, who cares? Like, you know, he's an arsehole, frankly, doesn't deserve to be in Formula One. But on a more positive note, Mick Schumacher, the return of a Schumacher name is amazing. It's sort of very much, it's incredible, because obviously growing up, Schumacher was the driver, 7 world championships, 91 race victories, and he's an incredible driver. But, now his son's back, and I feel in some ways that will have its own pressure built in because Schumacher, but I hope he's given his time to develop into his own driver. And people need to sort of stop and realise he's not his dad. Ferrari aren't what they were. There aren't as wide a range of teams that are winning. It's like Mercedes or Red Bull. But he must show promise, because he's one of the younger drivers who's bloody good. Like, if you look at him in junior formula, he was fantastic. It took him a bit of time, but once he had adjusted. So this season for me is just let him live, let him do let him learn the trade. He's not going to be challenging for points every race, and I think people just need to temper their expectations. It's undoubtedly he's a fantastic talent, but he's driving for Haas, who haven't been great over the last couple of years, let's be honest. But also, following on after the horrific incident in the Bahrain GP, Romain Grosjean has announced he will be driving IndyCar for next season, excluding the oval, so the Indy 500. I want to say Daytona, but it might not be right. But anyway, he's refused to drive oval circuits and has said, I owe it to my wife and my kids. after that horrific accident where he was badly burned. And I believe in this upcoming season of Drive to Survive, his wife actually comes in and talks about it. And from the stuff I've seen on sort of Twitter and whatever, they've had she just sort of looks at him as if to say, "You're a fucking moron." But it's like one of those classic things where your girlfriend or your partner looks at you when you've done something stupid. Like mine, for an example, was I got kneed in the head at football training and played on, and I sat down afterwards, only for my girlfriend at the time to look at me and go, "You got a concussion, haven't you?" I went, "Yep." She went, "You're an idiot." I went, "Yep." But she smiled at me the whole time, and it was like, it's just like one of these things. But on to like the practice, the pre-season testing. Now, Mercedes have been off the pace for a lot of it, and people are sort of going, "Oh, hang on, are they sandbagging or are they just, like, is there actually a thing?" I personally never read much into testing. I still think Lewis will win the championship. So, I mean, for my prediction, I think my top 3 prediction, or top 5, I'm going to go Lewis, Max, Bottas, Perez, and Leclerc. I think the drivers' the constructors, I think it'll go Mercedes, Red Bull, McLaren. I think McLaren will retain that. Obviously, they've got an exciting driver lineup this year with Daniel Ricciardo and Lando Norris. And obviously, I love Daniel Ricciardo. He's such a funny guy. But I also believe that Lando's a fantastic driver. Obviously, I don't really follow a team, but obviously 2 of my favourite drivers are driving for McLaren, so low-key going to be cheering them on. Obviously, George Russell at Williams. Obviously, Williams with Mercedes gearboxes this year, so hopefully we'll see George up in the points more often. As for Ferrari, Carlos Sainz from McLaren, which paves the way for Ricciardo to go to McLaren from Renault, who are now called Alpine and have re-signed Fernando Alonso. And the jury's still out for me. I mean, he's chasing a dream for me. Like I can't see Alpine being up there challenging for race wins. It's great advertisement, and obviously it's that heroic thing of, oh, he's gone back to his former team, but he did that with McLaren and it bit him in the arse. But I don't know, honestly. I think personally, I don't think it's a good move for him, and I feel like he probably should retire now. But it's his career. But as for where I feel that or who I think the driver of the season will be, and I don't mean who's going to win the championship, but I mean generally who sort of outdrives the car and whatever. I honestly think it would be Gasly again, because Gasly has really proved himself. For some reason, my lighting's changed slightly. But yeah, I personally think that Gasly will be given the driver of the season. It'll either be him, Lando, George, or Ricciardo. And I'll be honest, I'd love to see McLaren up challenge him for race wins. But, I mean, obviously they've got Mercedes engines this year, which is great. Like, obviously it's a great thing for McLaren. They've got 2 very competent drivers. Obviously, Lando got a podium last year. Danny Ricciardo got 2. And infamously, he got a podium, so he'd have his team principal had to get a tattoo. Well, I don't know if that's happening now because Danny's left, but his words over the radio was, "Is that a fucking podium, boys?" And Daniel Ricciardo is one of the most enigmatic drivers on the grid. Like, I love him a bit. He's just so funny. And again, listening to Beyond the Grid podcast, he's an absolute legend. Just some of the stuff he comes out with. And I mean, if you've not watched the second series of Drive to Survive, then go and watch it, because it's absolutely hilarious watching him. yeah, he's an amazing driver. But as for, I think Williams will finish 8th in the championship. There's 10 teams this year, I believe. I think Williams will do okay. But as for Ferrari, I can't see him having a good year. Leclerc's a fantastic driver, as is Sainz, but Ferrari have not been at it for quite a few years now. And I've got to say, I can't see them coming back. Like, there's not really been anything in testing. Like, no one's really set the world alight. Obviously, it's testing. But, yeah, I think Mercedes have come to the first... They might not be at the races, in quotation marks, for the first couple of races, but I still think Lewis will win the championship. I think Lewis has only signed a 1-year contract at Mercedes as well. So what a lot of people are thinking, and myself included, is that he'll get the 8th championship and then retire, which is understandable. He's been in Formula One now for so long. He's broken Schumacher's record, and I reckon he'll get the 8th championship of his career, and then he'll go, do you know what, I'm done now, which should pave the way for George Russell. So another video I'm thinking about doing is predicting the 2022 driver lineups, which is a video that probably won't come out for a week or two, because obviously I'd have to sit down and figure out what driver's going where and such. But I think overall, like this, it's not the most in-depth pre-season video, but it's just like my thoughts and feelings about how Formula One is. But yeah, I'm going to leave this video here. I open the floor to you guys. Obviously, use the comment section down below. Tell me who you think's going to win the championship, and even if you fancy it, leave your 2022 predictions. I've got a pretty fair idea who's going to be where, but you know, it all depends. But yeah. But thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and all that good stuff. And I will see you in my next one, which will probably be a video talking about Dartford, because, you know, my Dartford team should probably cover Dartford now and then. But thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next one.